After many months of refusing to recognize the military authorities in Niger, after many months of refusing to evacuate their ambassador who was declared persona non grata by the regime, after many months of refusing to close down their military base in Niger, Emmanuel Macron has finally accepted that his position is untenable. It was a humiliating climb down for Macron. After denying and refusing to even listen to the authorities in Niger, he has finally accepted the reality and laid out plans to withdraw their troops from Niger. He will also evacuate the ambassador. Reacting to the news, the military authorities released a statement saying, "Imperialist and neo-colonialist forces are no longer welcome on our national territory. The new era of cooperation based on mutual respect and sovereignty is already underway." This is a huge win for the military authorities in Niger. Macron's policy in Niger seriously backfired and ended up making them heroes in their country. This will be the third francophone country in West Africa where France will be forced to close down their military base and evacuate their troops. They did it in Burkina Faso and in Mali, now in Niger. France has set out a plan to evacuate their troops. They will be evacuating them gradually up until December this year when the last military contingent will evacuate from Niger. This is coming after behind-the-scenes negotiations with the military authorities in Niger. For France to finally decide to evacuate their troops means that the military authorities refused all offers. They insisted that they must evacuate their troops and close down their military base. Yes, right from the outset, there was no way France could sustain the situation. They accepted that the embassy staff were surviving on military rations because of the blockade by the authorities. They were not allowing food to be delivered to the embassy. So it became difficult for them to continue staying in Niger. The troops also were just there like they were on holiday. When you send troops abroad to do a job, whether it is to gather information or help in defeating insurgents, but they are not able to do that, they are on holiday, what are they doing there? Bring them home, that's the reasonable thing to do. They can't continue staying in a country where they have been told to leave. It's simply not sustainable. So how did it all come crashing down for France? At the outset, France relied on the EU to maintain a strong voice against the military regime. Even the United States, they relied on them, including ECOWAS, the regional bloc in West Africa. But cracks immediately emerged in the EU because Italy and Germany wanted peaceful negotiations. They didn't want to use force in Niger. On the United States side, they negotiated with the military authorities. They've resumed their surveillance operations at their military base. In fact, the US base in Niger is their largest in Africa. They use that base to conduct surveillance up to Somalia and most of Central Africa. So it is a very important military base for the United States. That's why they refuse to call it a military coup in Niger. Because if they did that, that would mean, going by their policy, they will be forced to withdraw their troops from Niger. So they did the right thing, negotiated based on their interest, and got what they wanted. So in essence, they abandoned France like the EU. Coming to ECOWAS, there is serious opposition to the use of force in Niger because of the wider implications, especially in northern Nigeria. And considering the fact that Burkina Faso and Mali have already signed a pact, that military pact they formed, they said they will intervene in any of the countries, that any foreign invasion of any of the three countries will be treated as an invasion of all of them, which means that they will come to the aid of one another. They will put boots on the ground in case of any invasion in Niger, which makes it complicated because it won't be easy for ECOWAS intervention force to just barge into Niger and remove the military and install Bazoum. It won't be that easy because they won't be dealing with only Nigerian forces alone now. They'll be dealing with combined forces from three countries. This was how France became isolated. The whole situation did not work for them like it worked in Côte d'Ivoire when they relied on rebels and the United Nations to invade Cote d'Ivoire to remove Gbagbo from power. Like already said, this is a huge win for the military authorities in Niger, not just them, but the Nigerian citizens who have continued to protest against France. Most of them see the revolution as a huge step to their emancipation from France. The highest disappointment for France might be the United States, who left them out to dry. Will you blame them? The same way France is fighting for their own interest is the same way United States is fighting for their interest. After all, they've learned their lessons from France. It was France that made them to invade Vietnam in the first place after France fought there for up to 100 years. United States will go on to spend nearly 20 years in Vietnam because of France. So everyone is fighting for his interest. The ultimate winners are Nigerians who have successfully ended the French influence in their country. Going by the statement of the military authorities in Niger, they will now need to renegotiate all agreements with all countries. After all, they are not seeking to isolate Niger. All countries will trade with each other. No country is an island. They just want to trade on equal grounds. All agreements must be fair, not lopsided to one country. The best way to end all these is through education. Most of these companies are not interested in setting up processing plants in the places they mine natural resources because they know that they will be providing employment in these countries. They are not interested. They want to do it in their home country to generate that employment and taxes in their own country. So the best way to tackle this is to train your own people, set up dependent industries. If you mine gold, for instance, set up gold processing plants so that your people can do the work themselves and now sell the gold at the international market. This will go a long way in providing employment for your people. You earn taxes, you earn all the money. But when you sell natural resources alone, you have many companies taking advantage of you. Besides, the finished product is always much more expensive than the raw material. So you have more to gain by finishing the product than just selling the raw material. Now, all eyes will be on the military authorities in Niger. It's not about taking power, it is what you do with that power. They've successfully ended the French influence in their country. They will now need to move their country forward. Remember that they have lost most of the contributions from foreign partners to their national budget. So they will need to make up that revenue in order to patch up the budget. Otherwise, they can't even pay salaries or move forward. So they will do all this while still in the transition to civil rule. Of course, Brigadier General Chiani is aware of this. That's why he appointed an economist as prime minister. They have a lot of work to do in Niger. They have to take advantage of their natural resources to grow their economy. The road to emancipation is not an easy one. Thanks for watching.